Hi, this is Jean Stoddard, a mindfulness meditation instructor, and I have one video prior to this on my YouTube channel. I am going to create this one today so that we can meditate together during the COVID-19 virus epidemic. Today's March 21st, 2020. In the last week, I don't know how it's been for you, but for me, my daughter called me one day and said, "Mom, I've been in Costco. I can't find any food. I'm pulling things from the shelves. Get frozen food at any store you can find. Go shopping if you can." And I panicked, like you probably have had moments of that this week. And I hustled straight to a Dollar Tree, knowing that they had canned goods on their shelves and also frozen food items. So I filled up 3 carts worth of food. I wouldn't call it possibly the healthiest things, but I got a lot of canned vegetables. I got frozen cheese, frozen fish, wild salmon. I don't typically eat that, but I got it for me or anyone. So I know that I panicked. I went to another store and got some more items. We're probably feeling panic. So let's think of this thought. Emotions are more contagious than any virus. That's from Deepak Chopra. He's been on YouTube lately a lot. He's doing very mindful conversations during this COVID-19 epidemic. I recommend the ones that say COVID-19. He's a calming voice in a storm. So the plan is to talk to you 5 minutes, and then we'll go into always a 10-minute meditation. There's a promise in Goldie Hawn's book, 10 Mindful Minutes, that if you meditate 10 minutes a day for 8 weeks, you build the prefrontal cortex, that's the more mindful part of your brain, and you decrease the gray matter in areas like the amygdala that are the fight or flight response. So that's how we're going to spend our time together. Next time we meet, I have a very professional video on posture. My son did way before COVID-19 became a big face. So I'll put that out there because posture is an important aspect of meditation, and it's something I'd like you to learn. So in the meantime, I, like Deepak Chopra says, we are in a time of concern, and rightfully so. We should be concerned. There seems to be time to do something about our fears, and we need to act appropriately. However, our minds, our egoic minds, travel to a future that hasn't happened yet, which is, I'm going to starve. I'm going to get the virus. I'm going to die. I don't know if I can take care of myself. These are worries and anxieties. These are maybe legitimate concerns eventually, but right now, you're with me in some room with a plan to meditate. You're hearing my words right now. And those concerns in the future, they haven't happened yet. If you're here now, listening to this, all is well now. And so the next aspect of this will be a guided meditation. In this meditation, I'll guide you through breath. Not so much a breath anchor specifically, but a whole experience of our breath, its expansion and its contraction. Okay, so let's meditate. Of course, let's get in meditative position. You're going to want feet flat on the floor, vertical, horizontal, vertical. Short people might need a pillow behind their back for the chair they're in. Tall people might need cushioning under here if their chair's too small. Some women might need a pillow. This will be explained in the next video, so there's no stretch in the neck, and so we have comfort happening now. So what I want you to do, and I'll close my eyes too, but I'm also going to make gestures. And so maybe the first time you see this through, you'll be interested in the gestures. But there's an area that is here where our nostrils are. I want you to pay attention to this as I guide you. There's an area that's triangular, which includes our sinuses. Pay attention to that as I guide you. And then we'll go further down the airway into the abdomen where there's an expansion and contraction. So guiding you, letting you know ahead of time, this is where I'm going to guide you. Okay, so you're situated. Close your eyes. Meditation is going inward, and the reason we close our eyes is to go inward. In one sense, you are anchoring at your ears, hearing me, but the primary anchor in meditation, in mindfulness meditation, is at the breath. So we're going to do a breath guiding meditation. So normal breathing. Just breathe in normally and breathe out. Keep your mouth closed if you can. Breathe in through your nostrils and out. For those of you with colds or have a problem breathing nasally, you're going to breathe through your mouth. And that's okay too. We'll have a discussion about that as we travel. So this is where the rectangle comes in. I want you to pay attention to the air as you breathe it in through your nostril. It's as if our noses are straws and they're sucking gently air into the body. Then there's two straws. And as they pull the air in, how do you feel at the nostril opening? Can you feel the sensation of the air? Pay attention at the nostril air coming in. And then now shift to the air coming out. Pay attention at the nostril every time the air you exhale. What does it feel like at the nostril? There's an in-breath and an out-breath. An in-breath and an out-breath. Can you hold your concentration there? That, in one sense, is an ideal primary anchor, right there at the nostril. Because you're concentrating very hard at feeling the sensation of the air going in at the nostril and the air going out. But let's journey back into the nasal cavity and go toward the sinus area. That's the triangular portion now. As the air goes in and hits the sinuses, do you notice a coolness? Anchor at the sinuses with every in-breath. Do you notice the coolness? And on the exhale at the sinus area, do you notice a more neutral sensation? I wouldn't necessarily call it, in my experience, a warmth, although you might. But it's definitely different than the inhale at the sinuses. Do you notice the difference at the exhale past the sinuses? Some people anchor at the sinuses because they can feel it so well. That becomes their breath anchor. You can discern that at the end of this meditation. Let's continue down the nasal cavity to an area of the body called the pharynx. This is an area where the nasal air hits the back of your throat. And if you were breathing through your mouth, it also hits the back of your throat. Those two airways meet at the pharynx. You could open your mouth and breathe in a large breath, and you can feel a coolness hit the back of your throat, hit the back of that pharynx. And there's even a way you could kind of nasal breathe and through the mouth breathe, just to get the sensation that air is hitting at the same spot in the back of the throat called the pharynx. You're simply being mindful, paying attention on purpose as an experience with your airway. And let's travel further down our airway into the chest. Notice on the in-breath the expansion at the chest. And on the exhale, a collapsing of the chest. It's not huge, but there's a collapsing. Notice that on the out-breath at the chest. Expansion, ribs open because of lungs expanding, collapsing as the lungs collapse and air leaves our nasal passage. And then go further down the airway into it's the diaphragm pushing against, I'm not exactly sure what. It feels as if there's an expansion going on at the abdomen. It's because the diaphragm is pushing down, making more air for the lungs to expand. And so notice the expansion at the diaphragm, or really the abdomen. It's not like your stomach's expanding. It's just that it feels that way only because of the diaphragm pushing down. So there's a general expansion on the in-breath and a collapsing on the out-breath. And then another thing to notice is at the end of the breath, there's a pause. Do you notice a pause at the end of the breath? And then things collapse. Abdomen, chest, out, past the pharynx, out the nasal cavity, out the nose. And there's a collapse, there's a noticing at the other end of the breath. There's a pause. There's a pause before you drink in the air. And there's a pause before you exhale. Now, all of these things are kind of interesting. It's mindful awareness. Let me remind you that you can anchor at the rectangle under your nostrils. You can anchor at the sinus area. It's a triangle. You can anchor at the expansion and contraction of the abdomen. Those are common areas where people use those areas to anchor at the breath. Now the timer will be going off very soon. You figure out your breath anchor spot. If you do it at the nostrils, that's very fine concentration, feeling the air gently touching the nostril and gently going out. The next time we meet, I'll discuss posture. And if you want to continue silently with your breath anchor, continue to do so.